Thanks, guys. All right, I think I'm the last presenter between you guys and lunch, so after this I'll turn the time back over to Alyssa, and she'll get some instructions on what we're going to be doing at lunch. I think during lunch we're going to show you guys how to put on an event. That's a joke. In that there's very, very little running and a lot of beer. So, yeah. So I'm going to be talking about our mobile app. So Nick just got done talking about the Race Day app, which is one of our mobile strategies. And I'm going to be talking about the Athlinks Mobile App, which is more around the traditional Athlinks experience with creating a profile and saving your results, and going over a little bit about that bridge between the two as we go forward with this more dedicated, focused mobile strategy. I also want to talk a little bit about the branding of this Athlinks services, and the primary reason I like it is because we don't want to think of Athlinks as just an athlete-facing service. That's traditionally that's where Athlinks came from, but as we move into Athlinks services with ChronoTrack under that, we're also going to talk about how we're leveraging Athlinks from an athlete services to benefit B2B as well. And how we're going to be using that data to benefit this audience. And so that's really critical as we look at this Athlinks services branding and how we're bringing those two together. Right now, you can see up here, the app is currently available for download on the App Store. We also have it in beta on the Google Play Store. No reason why you guys couldn't get access to that beta if you guys want to try it out. You just need a Gmail address to get access to that. I'm an Android user as well, so I have it on my phone. So it's in beta, just right on the brink of releasing that to the Google Store, just a couple kinks to work out. So we're really hoping, the goal was this week. I just found out from the engineers that there's a couple things we need to do before we release it. So it's either going to be late this week or next week when we get that into the Google Store. As far as the Athlinks app and how I want to frame this presentation is what we're trying to accomplish from an athlete perspective on the behaviors that we want them to take as they use Athlinks. And it's under these three things. The first thing we really want them to do is create a profile and become a member of Athlinks. That gives us a lot of power in the things that we can do with the data that athlete brings to us that will benefit you guys. The next thing we need them to do is start claiming results. If you think of what that does for you, really that claim is a link between that athlete and your event and how we can leverage that down the road. And then we also want them to follow friends, so we create a more immersive experience, a more engaging experience for that athlete, from not only from a peer-to-peer perspective, but also from an event to athlete perspective. So as we jump into this, let's talk about creating a profile, why that's important. Over the last 3 years, as we look at the data, Athlinks was in a plateau of growth. We were growing at basically the same kind of rate over 2014, 2015, 2016. And recently, since I talked to you guys last time in January, we put a lot of effort into the Athlinks platform through the new website that we launched, so this mobile app that we're going to be talking about, trying to make a more athlete-friendly results experience, which after lunch I'll dive into that a little bit more. But really what we've seen in the last, really since early 2017, there's been this ramp up of new Athlinks members joining, claiming results, becoming members. And this last Sunday, we had the greatest member acquisition day in the history of Athlinks. And so it's getting more exponential as people start using this platform. They like the website, they're seeing the mobile apps, they're starting to claim results. We're starting to see a really big uptick in the number of people that are joining Athlinks, which is exciting. And so they're really going in there and creating those profiles. So why is that important? On the left-hand side of the screen, we have a screenshot of the Race Day app. On the right-hand screen, we have a screenshot of the Athlinks app. And the best way that I can frame this is if all the athletes use is the race day app, we really just get them one time at that one event. They come in, they have a great experience at your event. They have all this information, they get the live tracking, they get the results. But after that event is over, and we've all run events, even events that we do year over year, we don't feel that connection to the event necessarily. I know that event doesn't necessarily remember me in much of a significant way. So we really get that person one time. Whereas if we can get that athlete to claim a result in your event, then you have that athlete forever. And we have that connection specifically from that athlete to that event and their profile. And so that's a lot of the strategy behind why we want that athlete to create a profile and join Athlinks and claim their results, because it connects them to your event, as that word says, forever. So the next step after they create a profile is we have a lot of features inside of Athlinks that push that athlete to claim their results. So they can go in, they can search their name. What that brings up is a history of, we're about to reach 250 million results inside of the Athlinks platform. So we'll reach that either in Q3 or Q4. So they go, they search their name, and we bring back all these results for the last decades of results that we have in Athlinks, and they can claim all those results to a profile. They can also claim these results on race day. So here's an example of inside of the mobile app what a results list looks like while a race is happening. You can see here these top 3 look a little bit different than the bottom 2. Those top 3 are claimed results on race day within the app. We also have the ability to pre-claim those results. So some new technology that Troy and I have been working on is that as soon as they register for the event or they join the start list, we're going to pre-claim that, so they don't even have to go in and manually claim that result. It's just going to follow them through the entire event process. So once they're on the start list, it'll just be claimed for them automatically. And so that's kind of what you're seeing. This was from the New York City Triathlon. These 3 had claimed that result. Now, if we look down here, we have Alex Libben. And if you do an unclaimed results search inside of the app for Alex Libben, you're going to get a whole bunch of results that have never been claimed. Alex is not a member of Athlinks yet. And so this kind of reinforces that state of, Alex participated in the New York City Triathlon, even our own event, doesn't know as much about Alex as we would like if he's not in there claiming results. Whereas if we look at Andrew Calley, who is a member, we can see that he's done the 2017 New York City Triathlon, and I think this is the guy that had done the Miami Triathlon as well. So we know that this guy travels from location to do lifetime events. And once he claims those results, we just get a much richer profile of who this person is. And we can start leveraging that for future enhancements as we enrich your data and your participants with this Athlinks data. And we'll talk about a few of those features that we're planning on building. This is what the athlete sees. So over here on the left, what the athlete gets is a saved profile of all their results. Whether they were timed by ChronoTrack or not, we just have a list of results. That's a unique thing. A lot of event websites only have results from the events that they do. And so we have results across the world, for decades and decades of any result that they can save to their profile. They also get these statistics. So they get the number of races they've done, the number of miles they've done. We want to start gamifying that a little bit more, giving them rewards and badges for using the app more and running more races that will incentivize them to do your events more. And then they also get their PRs, so really great for people who have qualifying races. If you have a qualifying event for Boston Marathon or anything like that, they can use Athlinks for those events. So they get the results, they get the races, they get the miles, they get the PRs. And now we can start talking about, once they claim those results, how we want to bridge that gap between the Athlinks for the athlete and Athlinks for our timers and event directors. So with athletes who have claimed results, we get much greater corral accuracy. I know we talked about that a little bit with that smart corral feature that we have. So here's just at the top, just something that's in beta and that we're prototyping and using. Imagine this in a start list with all of your athletes in there. We can start saying, okay, here's Gian Dorego. He's done 3 of this particular race. Here's his PR. Here's what he said his goal was. But based on our enriched Athlinks data, we now know that we have a predicted time for him. With that predicted time, we can then put him into a corral based on whatever settings you feel like you want to set up your corrals in. And he can know right off the bat without, from an automatic, more scientific way, that he's in corral 1 or whatever corral what the settings that you have, what corral he should fall into. So with that corral accuracy and those start list stats, by just having athletes claim their results and with this rich data, then we're going to be able to enrich a lot of that pre-event start list corral accuracy. We also have announcer enrichment. So you can see a prototype out there when you guys walked in the door with your bib. You can kind of see that that display out there that said how long you've been a timer. So that's just hooked up to a source of data. The goal then would be to hook that up to a source of data, which is Athlinks. And all those columns could say for an announcer, how many races, let's say it's a marathon, how many marathons this person has done, how many times this athlete has done that particular event before. You can say what their PR is, so the announcer could know as they're coming down the line. Just enrich the announcer display, give them more information to use as the athlete is approaching the finish line. Did you have a question?
Yeah. So you have predicted up there. Have you run that data through any real live results to see how close you're getting on prediction?
Yeah, I'm going to turn it over to Troy because he has done that and he has some good data about that.
The algorithms were actually built that way. So we basically took all the history and validated against athletes we absolutely knew were that athlete. So we would start. Oh, sorry. The question on the smart corrals was, have we validated against real data?
No, I'm talking
accuracy.
Prediction. So,
yeah.
So if you're saying that Gion's going to run 4:28,
yep.
Have you looked at that?
Yep.
Like how close are you getting?
Yeah. So so the question was on the predicted pace, how accurate are we on that? So the algorithms were written against actual results. So meaning what we did was we would take 2016 Chicago Marathon, for instance. We would omit that from our data set and then predict those times and validate it then against that data set. Does that make sense? So, and we did that across thousands of races. And so we continually tweaked the algorithm until it was as accurate as we felt like we could get it to under normal circumstances. 85, and I'll get the actual stats. I talked about it, unfortunately, last year at Regional, but it was, I think it was 85% of the finishers were within, it was like a 5% range. So highly accurate is ultimately what it is. So when we're getting down into corralling, where you're really talking about kind of the top 20%-ish finishers, in that range, the accuracy was within sub 10% of the actual finish times. So from a corralling standpoint, it is incredibly accurate. From a, would you put money on an over-under on it? Maybe not, right? Yeah. But it's certainly within, on a half marathon, it would be within 60 seconds of a finish time.
Okay.
Yes? Gail?
I'm sorry to be behind the times. I'm just learning how to be a customer for Athlinks. And I got a bunch of profiles out there because of moving around. And how do I merge them? How would I tell somebody to get with the program, merge it all into one, so my old results match my new results, and
Yeah.
they're all in one place?
So the question was, if an athlete has multiple profiles out there, because they've created, for whatever reason, a number of profiles, how do we merge those together? And our support team can do that. It's really easy. You just take the athlete and merge them together. We don't have a user-facing tool to merge accounts right now. They have to contact support for that. Yeah.
Somewhat similar. If you've gone through and created a profile on the website, but you haven't done the mobile app yet, I assume when you do the mobile app, it'll use your same profile that you've already done on the website years ago.
Yeah. So if you didn't hear through the microphone, the question was, do the mobile app and the website share the same profile? And they do. So if you have a profile on the website, you go to the mobile app, you'll just hit sign in instead of join, and you'll use your email or Facebook or Google credentials that you used in the website to join or sign into the mobile app. Now, if we're talking about the race day app, that does not have any membership at all. So they just they open that and use it without any membership. Yeah.
So you really don't need the mobile app if you use the website with your profile.
You don't need it. It's a better mobile experience in the mobile app. So if you have an athlete who is only going to be looking at results on their phone, I'd encourage them to download the app because it's just it's geared specifically towards the phone, and so they're going to have a better results experience than a mobile website experience. And that's where we're putting a lot of our effort into that. Yeah, Troy wants to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to you started to touch on it there, is as we get GPS tracking and those kinds of things, mobile upload of photos, that kind of thing, are just optimized around a native mobile app on a phone. So a lot of the very, very rich race day experience will be probably exclusive to the app side rather than the website. So for instance, being able to trigger tracking via GPS, that will only be available in the app going forward. It's probably not something we're going to try to figure out how to do through a responsive web mobile app. It's just mobile apps, native mobile apps are built for that type of functionality.
All right, Gail.
Is there any connection between my ChronoTrack login as an administrator, or even when I go to my events and see what's listed, and my Athlinks login?
Yeah, we're not going to talk a lot about that today, but we do have an effort for converting the ChronoTrack accounts into Athlinks accounts, and so I know Michael Kilberg is heading that up, but what we want to do is when you go to join Athlinks, you could use your CT Live account email to then join Athlinks, and it would create an Athlinks account out of that. If you want, you can talk to Michael Kilberg. You can pull him aside at lunch and ask him about that. He would have a little bit more detail for you.
And what's ending up with is I have so many accounts that merging them could be really confusing, and that could be the case for some of our customers.
Yeah, if they already have a ChronoTrack account and they use that actively, the goal is that they could use that to then create their Athlinks account and link those together.
I'm actually pushing people to that. When people say I want to switch a race, I don't do it for them anymore. I push them to go into their profile and find their events. So I need to be clear that that would be in their ChronoTrack account, not in their Athlinks account.
Right. So going forward, the question was, how do we bridge the admin side for the athlete on ChronoTrack? Because they can go into ChronoTrack, create a profile, they can manage their upcoming races and deferrals and all those kinds of things. And so what will happen is they'll still have that login to ChronoTrack, but going forward, we're going to have those accounts go through Athlinks, and then we'll have a feature in Athlinks that just says, hey, manage your upcoming events or something like that, which would then link them over to ChronoTrack. So they'd use their Athlinks account to then bridge over to the Athlinks side. Or I'm sorry, the CT Live side.
Any thought on when that might be?
I know we're getting really close to the joining, using your CT Live credentials to join Athlinks, and I need to ask Michael on that one. That's a great question.
On Athlinks and CT Live accounts, and I believe Michael will be covering that today.
Oh, he will? Okay. So you can pepper him with questions after lunch. The last thing that this one shows, which is kind of bridge into the next topic, is once we have that athlete and he's claiming results, we know what events he's doing, he's registering for events, then we can start getting into more of this social registration. And so if I log into my Athlinks account, I could now see, and we really wanted to have this done by today. We didn't quite get there. We're getting pretty close to it. But basically being able to see your friends' upcoming events. So it says, okay, the August Jerica, I have 5 friends in that particular event. I can then join my friends, which would take me to the registration page, showing me the Leadville 10K, which is coming up this weekend. So showing me the customers, or I'm sorry, the athletes that are in that I'm following. I can join them, and then we're kind of playing around with this idea. Can we start a group message where people can start messaging with each other?
Have you guys looked into allowing someone to share their Facebook account and pull up all their Facebook friends that have Athlinks accounts, and then you can click add all of them?
Yeah, so the question was, can we take Facebook and take our Facebook friends and upload those and match those up with Athlinks members so they just become part of my friends list within Athlinks? And it's a good question because whenever we, from UX perspective, when we talk about friends, kind of the ubiquitous thing, people just think, oh, Facebook friends, right? They don't think of my Athlinks friends. And so we've definitely talked about that with the UX team recently about making that available. So we're not trying to create like two competing friends platforms. It's just like, oh, just import your friends and then you just have them, right? So it's not available right now where you can do that, but we're in active conversations with the UX team on how we'd make that available. All right, so the third thing that we try to push athletes to do as they join Athlinks is to start following people. So what Matt just asked about making it easier for people to connect with each other inside of Athlinks, definitely Facebook is one of those avenues that we're exploring. And what happens when you start following people, in addition to that screenshot I just showed you of a future enhancements where you'll be able to see all of your friends' future events and encouraging them to join their friends at those events. Once I go to the event landing page, this is for the Jerica 5K. This is today, actually. Here's the people that I'm following. They've joined the start list. They've registered for this event. And it shows, okay, here's racers that you're following, which then takes me over to the start list, and I can see the start list of all the people that I'm following within that event. And I can toggle between the entire start list or just the friends that I'm following. So we have we have these following features on the About page, the start list. And then we talk about event feeds, and that's where it really gets exciting. I'll talk a little bit more about it in the presentation this afternoon. But as we start to think about the features that we like about the Race Day app, and the Race Day app has been priceless to us from a data perspective of just what people like and what people use. And we get a lot of good feedback around the messaging within the Race Day app that event directors like to push those notifications out to their event directors. And so the idea is that how can we leverage that to even be more engaging for our athletes between the event director and the athlete? And if we have these event feeds where within Athlinks I can go follow an event, I can get all the information about that event, and it's very engaging socially. Plus, now the event director has a channel of communication to that athlete within this event feed. If you think about it as like a Facebook page, where I can now interact with the athletes and push information to them. That's one of the features that we really love about the Race Day app, and we want to bring over to Athlinks. The athlete sees on results. So you can filter the list of results by who you follow. So you're not seeing just, if it's a really big event, there's only 10 people that you really care about in the event, you can filter that list by people that you're just following, and scale it down to the people that you care about. And you can also go over to the individual result page and follow people directly from there. Whoa. And inside of the profile, the athlete sees the list of people that they're following and can manage their list there, very similar to other social media systems that you use. And we also get rivals. So based on the people that you follow, it's going to compare those. If you race against those people, then it's going to automate this rivals list, and you can see how you do head-to-head against other competitors, and how many races you've won against that person versus how many races that you've lost. And you can drill into that. You can see the data behind that matchup. So you can see head-to-head. If you're really competitive, then you can make fun of that person for beating them. I do that all the time around the office. As far as, like I said, the Race Day app, Nick mentioned the best feature of that is the live tracking, probably the most attractive thing about that. We want to bring that over to the Athlinks platform as well and really take it to the next level. So over here we have an event landing page that shows, okay, here's some live events that are happening now. Here's some events you might care about. As you come over to there, then you start seeing live tracking view. So we're right in the middle of the UX research behind this, and we have some really great concepts. We've looked at all the different apps that are out there that provide live tracking, what ones we like, some of the things that we don't like, and what's the great user experience behind that. And so we're just in the prototyping phase behind that, and the user experience gathering, talking to users, and really trying to figure out what we want. So this is not yet like in beta or anything. We're just kind of at a prototype level on the UX side, but it's definitely the main part of the race day app that we want to integrate within Athlinks and bring all of that rich social engagement now into live tracking through the Athlinks app. I believe that's the majority of things I want to talk about, which was, like I said, as we push the Athlinks platform forward, trying to get people to create profiles, claim results, and follow people, and then that really creates an environment where we can create these features that are not only going to benefit our athletes, but you guys as well. So what questions do you guys have? Yeah, Chris?
The live tracking thing was basically the same thing, GPS?
So, yeah, it's a great point. So what we'll do with Athlinks, like Nick said, there's some technical problems with the race day app for trying to bring splits into that. So with the Athlinks app, it would be GPS and also supplemented by splits. And there's a variety of data sources that we could supplement that data with if you start thinking about all the different ways that people use mobile on site.
So now we're going to be pushing to go to 2 different sites to see the same thing?
The 2 different sites meaning the race day app.
Race day app and Athlinks app to see which one do you want us to push them to, I guess, will be the question when it's developed.
Yeah, so currently right now, so the question was, right now there's 2 apps in the App Store. There's the Athlinks app and there's the Athlinks Race Day app. And which one should you be using? So right now, the answer to that is the Race Day app for live tracking, because Athlinks doesn't offer that. Right? As we start to bring some of those features over, then they will live side by side temporarily until we feel like, do we need the Race Day app? And that decision hasn't been made at all. As far as, does the Race Day app go away? Right now we love it. We're promoting it. We want all of our timers to use it. And so I don't think an official decision has been made on that. We want people to continue using the Race Day app, and we're using it, we're learning from it and what we want to bring over to the Athlinks app, and we get to a point where it's like, hey, we have enough features over here. The Race Day app isn't relevant anymore, then we'll make a decision at that point, but we're not at that point yet. Yeah.
So I just pulled up an event that's near me, the results, and there's 2 people that they've got like a gray background and a blue line underneath them.
Yep.
That means that they've claimed that they've signed up for Athlinks, right?
Yeah, so the question was, inside of the app, when you look at results, you'll notice that some rows of results look slightly different than the others. One has a treatment of a gray background with a blue underline, and that means that athlete has claimed the result in that race and they have an Athlinks profile.
So actually my question, there's no way to see what percentage of people, like how many have claimed their result, or how many are Athlinks members, rather than just scrolling down and counting how many people are highlighted?
That is a great feature request. So right now there's not a way to tell what percentage of athletes in your race are Athlinks members. But that's a fantastic idea. I think Troy wants to say something.
Yeah, and so just to give you just some background on that, you take a race like New York City Triathlon. I think we ended up at 52% of the athletes are Athlinks members with claimed results in that race. One of the features that we're adding, should be in production by this weekend, is the ability to live track your friends, your Athlinks friends. So, and then that gets added to your profile. So, for instance, 2 weeks ago at Leadville Stage Race, I had about a dozen friends racing that event, but each morning I had to wake up, go find Leadville Stage Race, go, sift through the results and click on the people that I was following. Starting either this weekend or next weekend, hopefully this weekend, I will just go right to my profile. Right there, it's going to say Leadville Trail 100 mountain bike race. It's going to list the 10 people that I'm following. I don't have to go look for it at all. It's just going to be right in front of my face. I click it. I can live track them right there from the app. and the website, incidentally. So those will be live results. It won't be the GPS tracking side of things, but live results right there. The other functionality that we're adding is the ability to like and comment on live results. Right now, they have to be synced with Athlinks before you can do that, but we'll be enabling the liking and commenting of live results. So as I'm eating my cereal, relaxing in the morning, and my buddies are doing a 100-mile mountain bike race, I can be commenting on their splits, sending them likes and things like that, where they'll start getting that data as they cross the finish line, go to their app, and all of a sudden their race morning is now lit up by their friends kind of congratulating them, and they're able to kind of humble brag through the app in that way. So we're building a lot of that functionality there. Through that, one of the things that, as we look at the event discovery tools, the race results being archived in Athlinks, the idea there is that when somebody does a race and then they do another race and another race, each time they go back and check those results, they're constantly reminded of those races they've done in the past. So you as timers, as you're talking to events that you're dealing with, by having those race results in the Athlinks profile, having athletes claim them, each time they do another race, they're constantly reminded that, oh yeah, 6 months ago I did Pat's run, I want to register for that one again. So it's that constant branding, those constant reminders that those races they've done in the past, they want to do again. They want to beat their time. So we're adding some functionality on the individual result page that will show your historical races results within that specific event, as well as your friends' historical races. So you'll see a custom leaderboard based on you and your friends at Pat's Run or Shamrock, and where this particular participation, today's result, fits in the last 10 years worth of Shamrock or whatever event it is. So we're really kind of getting a lot of feedback from athletes right now saying, oh, it'd be great if you could do this. And so a lot of it is just really about building that social race day experience, and then those competitive, the comparative analysis tools going forward around results. Okay.
Yeah, question from Gail.
I'm trying to get my head around this because I'm looking at 3 different profiles relative to all the data that I am hopefully thinking you're going to have in one place. And right down at the basic level, having a new Athlinks account now, I can see races I've done. I just tried to claim results on 3 of them and it won't work. It just comes back and says 500 error. Something went wrong. Is there something I'm doing wrong, or how is there?
No, we've had a couple athletes. So let me talk to you after that. We'll walk. Can we just walk through it right after this?
We're trying to push this. It's got to be simple.
Yeah.
It's got to work.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm sure that the push is to get more athletes to create a profile, and we as timers can help do that obviously by putting the word out. But right now, there's no way to, like I said, on that one race, there's no way to tell if what I'm doing to encourage athletes to create a profile, there's no way to really, for me to check to see how many people are listening to our advice in creating a profile.
Yeah, that's some great feedback. We just need to create some tools that are visible to the timers, and we could do that through a variety of different ways.
Or even if we had an event, if just some little way, 1.9% of the finishers are athletes or Athlinks members or whatever.
Yeah. So the question was, that as timers, event directors, you guys can have a lot of influence on the athletes and the experience that they have by claiming profiles and doing that kind of thing. But what are the tools that you guys have available to you to track progress and things like that? So we're just going to take that away and provide some tools for you that make that available, because that's absolutely critically important that you guys are on this journey with us. Yeah.
What we're doing is helping get more members.
Yeah.
Part of that is a stat that's in the Smart Corral, and Smart Corral is going to be something that's built into every event. So one of the changes that we've also made recently is Smart Corral was originally going to be a tool where you would go in and proactively update a start list to. We now have it pulling directly from CT Live Reg and then automatically validating that corral. So in there you'll see what percentage are members versus non-members, et cetera. So we are actively kind of working on those tools to present, and they're being worked on right now. So you'll start to see those roll out very soon. Mr. Hens?
With the apps, obviously I can see a benefit to both of them. are you guys going to work in a cross platform, so to speak? So we just had our nighttime race, and we used the race day app, where if they go to the Athlinks profile, it'll be like, hey, this race has its own app, download here. Or when someone claims a result, it'll say, hey, download the Athlinks app to work more on your personal profile. I mean, are you gonna, I mean, is it gonna be integrated to the point where it's gonna put, because we wanna push for a race, hey, use the race day app. So, you know, if I go to the Athlinks listing right now, it just says, here's the official website. It doesn't say anything like, hey, they have an app for it, download it.
Yeah, so the question is really how we're going to cross-pollinate the two apps, and the suggestion or the question was made is how is a profile going to be integrated with a white labeled event and vice versa, and it's basically as you just described. So we will start to converge the two features. There's always going to be a certain percentage of events that want a white labeled event presence. And as an athlete, I may or may not want to engage with that. We've found that just a lot of athletes don't want to download another app regardless. And so we want to accommodate the events that, and the athletes that want to download that custom event and do things like custom event map or expo maps and things like that. But then the athlete that just says, hey, I've got my Athlinks app, I get all my results there, we also want to accommodate him during that. So we will start to cross-pollinate the features we'll find that happy medium between, we don't want to maintain two totally distinct code bases forever. We will probably converge the two at some point, and we'll just find the right time to do that.
Okay, great. I think I'm going to turn the time over to Alyssa.